Now I'll start real quickly ever. Welcome to the Friends of the Cabildo member lecture series. We do these a couple times a month throughout the year, usually in the fall and the spring as well. So this is our second to last of this 2023 year. Our next one is going to be find it right here. It's me, Katie Burleson, who is the curator at the Herman Greemer and Gallier houses, and they are one of our members of our Creole Christmas home tour, and they really do a great job with decorating in 19th century Christmas decorations. And so she's going to talk about those traditions. That's going to be December 12th at 6 p.m. And then I also wanted to add in there that if just not to forget that we have our symposium, which is all on Zoom and all recorded. The 2024, which is coming up right on us, is the 40th and the 140th anniversary of the 1884 and 1984 New Orleans World's Fairs. So we got 6 speakers throughout the day. You can pop in, you can come out, you could stay the whole time. It's really an interesting subject, and we're going to be able to talk about both fairs. You know, what had worked for them, what didn't work. Obviously, not enough people. They didn't make any money, but then it might also have been stolen. You know how it all goes down here. So that's going to be Saturday, December 9th. So anything you interests you, you can always go to friendsofthecabildo.org. I'm going to open, before I get started with Dr. Tate, I'm going to open up with a video that she wants me to do, and then I'm going to do a quick little intro, and then we'll get started. Just one last thing. If you have questions, even if you need to leave later on and you're going to watch the recording, just put them in the chat, and so we can ask them of Dr. Tate as we at the end of the lecture. So let me start with a shared screen of this video, and we will get started.
The Ninth Ward area was the only area that was to take part in the desegregation. It was because it was a low-income area. 2 schools were selected. Nobody knew what the schools were going to be until that morning. William France was in the upper Ninth Ward, and McDonough 19 is in the lower Ninth Ward. I remember seeing the black car pull up in front of the door. The 2 men got out, and they came to the doorway, and it was time for my mom and I to leave. And I remember her saying, when you get in the car, sit to the back of the seat and don't put your face to the window. As we got ready to turn on St. Claude Avenue, I noticed crowds of people, it was masses of people, and I could see police on horseback holding the people back. So the only thing I could relate to was that there was a parade that was coming, because we watched the parade on that street, and I wanted to know, why are we going to school on Mardi Gras? And everybody else is watching the parade. And she said, no, it's not Mardi Gras.
On November 14th, 1960, 3 of the girls entered McDonough 19. They encountered mobs of spitting, cursing, stone-throwing whites.
When we arrived, school was in full session. So then we started noticing that parents were taking their kids out of school. That really made us think that they were going outside to watch the parade, and we were still in the classroom.
You took your boy out the first day?
No, I didn't send him Monday.
Oh, you didn't send him at all?
Monday is a holiday, and I did abide by him. He is the governor of the state, and I did abide by him.
We were not allowed to play outside. We couldn't go to the cafeteria. And I'm sure it was for protection. The water fountain was off. We couldn't drink out the water fountain. Anything we ate or drank, we had to bring to school with us. Nobody could see in the building, and we couldn't see out. We weren't even allowed to go on the side of the class where there was a window. We left McDonough 19 after 2nd grade. McDonough 19 had become predominantly Black, and the thing was to keep us in a white school. So we were transferred to T.J. Sims. This time we did not have U.S. Marshals or police protection. The children didn't leave. They came to school with whatever they were told to do. That was not a good experience. That's where we really faced integration for the first time. I don't know, it was very hard to stay focused, but we had to. We were definitely afraid to go eat lunch in the cafeteria because either somebody was going to spit in your plate or they were going to knock it out of you. Definitely afraid to use the restroom. You know, if somebody would see you going in the restroom, they were coming in behind you. Our safe haven there wasn't the classroom anymore. Under the stairwell, it was outside in the yard on a tree stump. That was our area. When I came back after Katrina, it was never my intention to start a foundation. Everybody was screaming for schools. They needed schools. So my mission was just to try to get McDonough 19 open up as a school again. But everybody that I tried to talk to wanted to know, well, what's your foundation about? What are y'all doing? I said, well, I don't have a foundation. So I couldn't get any answers without having one. So I got a couple of my family members and community members together, and we formed a foundation. I feel good about what we're doing. We've partnered with People's Institute, and they go around the country teaching on doing racism classes. They want to do a community university, teaching on doing racism from kindergarten through high school. We want to do the interpreter center and telling the civil rights movements, not just what we did in the school, just things that highlighted New Orleans, in this movement. Because when I get invited to a lot of schools, the children don't know the history of what happened here in New Orleans. It's on somewhere else. Now I can go out of state and they know all about us, but they're not being taught in schools here. So that kind of put me on a mission to try to get the story told, and it needs to be told.
Right. So our speaker tonight is Dr. Lenora Tate. She established the Lenora Tate Foundation for Change to purchase McDonough 19, the school site where she, Gail Etney, and Tessie Prevost integrated on November 14th, 1960. Today, she and her partners, Alembic, Dr. Tate, that's how you say it?
Alembic.
Community developers have renovated the historic campus, which reopened as the Tate, Etney, and Prevost Center in May 2022, a mixed-use development dedicated to the history of New Orleans public schools, desegregation, civil rights, and Black life. Her mission for the TEP Center is to create a safe space and community anchor where the public can learn, support, and train for anti-racism, activism, and social justice. I am honored to welcome Dr. Lenora Tate, and welcome, Dr. Tate. We're so glad to have you today.
Thank you for inviting me. Well, the film told a lot, and then it didn't tell a lot. But we were selected to go through this process. It wasn't an easy process, and in fact, it was like 140 families that really applied. It was an application that was placed in the newspaper for children in the 9th Ward, more Black children in the 9th Ward. And out of 140 applications, they only accepted 5, but then one little girl wound up not having to come because she didn't have a dad in the household. So it was just the 4 of us, the 3 of us at McDonough 19 and Ruby Bridges at William France. And we had no clue what was happening. We did not, in fact, my family didn't talk around me, and I'm sure that was because they didn't want me to be afraid of anything. And I could tell you the truth, I was never afraid, but it took us a few years before we realized that it was because of the color of our skin that we weren't wanted. It was just something for a strange thing for a child to have to go through. We were strictly prepared. But we were prepared like before we got there, like a year ahead of us, had her coming to McDonough 19, just in a strange way, doing extra things with your teacher, doing things that we normally hadn't been doing. So I think something was in the back of our minds. You know, we knew something was happening, but we just couldn't figure out what it was. We was psychologically tested, and that was to make sure that we could endure what we was about to go through. Once we got into the building, which we were entered safely because the police, I understand, was so well trained on holding the crowd back because of the parades here in New Orleans. So we did get to enter the building safely and approached the principal's office, and we were asked to take a seat on a bench in the hallway. And we must have sat on that bench half the day before they even decided to place us in a classroom. We were so bored, we played hopscotch on the tiles of the floor, just waiting for time to pass. But I remember getting placed in the classroom, and it was a full class of students, and I remember trying to speak to a little white girl, and it was like I was invisible. She didn't say anything, she didn't look my way, she did nothing. About 3 o'clock that afternoon, they were pulled out by their parents, and we were the only 3 students left in that building. And that lasted for a year and a half. Second grade started the same way. We were 3 students alone until after the Christmas holidays. But one thing I need to say, we did have a very good teacher in first grade. We had a very good, she was more motherly than just a teacher. She didn't leave us at any time, very protective. But we was so protected in the building, but we didn't realize how protected we really were and how confined we really were. Could never play outside in the yard. We had to bring out food and beverages. We never went to the cafeteria. The water fountains were turned off. The windows were papered with the brown paper. No one could see us inside, and we couldn't see outside. So it was very strange way of for a child to go to school, but we were comfortable because I remember going to my old school and it was overcrowded and I was very unhappy there. But we were very comfortable at McDonough 19. But Sims was really the place where we really faced integration. We had to endure a lot for it to work, you know, and the endurance that we went through, I don't wish on nobody's child. I don't care what color skin you are. It was just horrific. I hate to even think about that year that I spent at Sims. Schools were by districts. We lived in the lower ninth ward at that time, and France was in the upper ninth ward. My family moved after that summer, and I was in Francis. So I went to school from 4th grade on with Ruby, and things were a little different. Still that racial division. You know, there's more Black students in school then, but it was always. I can never say in no grade, I can never say that I had a white friend. I really can never say that. We completed grammar school there. We went on to junior high school. It was still this racial tension there. And it was just awful. It was awful. It was a lot of fighting and things that you had never seen before. You know, it was a lot of rioting. And then when we got in senior high school, we went to Francis T. Nichols, and of course, they were not ready for the change at all. You know, the mascot there was Rebels, and they honored a Confederate flag. The band wore a Confederate uniform, and they really weren't for the change. It was another horrific place to be in. But in order for it to work, we had to endure what we did. And we, in the 11th grade, we had asked for the mascot to be changed, which it did get changed, but that caused a lot of more white flight and just very uncomfortable, fighting every day, and it was just a sad thing to see, to even have to go to school. But we just had to push our way through in order for it to work. Schools integration, you gotta understand, progressed as we progressed the grade. It didn't open up to all grades until we reached 10th grade. So when we got in 10th grade, then 11th and 12th grade was opened. But it was just strange the way I don't know, it was happening. It was different, but well, we had to do it. Somebody had to do it. And all these years later, I'm back in the same building. I never thought that I would be back here, but I am here. I went through just a lot of changes just to try to get it open as a school, and being told that it wouldn't be a school again, and realizing that people just didn't know the history that had happened here was very heartbreaking. And so I had to think of something to do to get this story out. And we wound up having to purchase the building and had to put on the National Historic Registry to save it. And it's now the TEP Center. And I always promised Gail and Tessie that if I ever got my hands on a building, it will be named after the three of us. And that's what the TEP is for, our last names. And we're now trying to educate the public on the integration of public schools here. We are inviting the schools to come in, and they are coming, and the students are just amazed because they think things like that just didn't happen this soon. They think it was back in the slavery days, and to see me is strange for them. It's really a shock for them to think that, hey, I'm still here. But my way of working in the TEP Center is just to try to get that story told. And not only that story, just other civil rights movements that happen right here in New Orleans. We just released a exhibit from Historic New Orleans Collection called The Trail They Blaze, and it told the story of many different civil rights movements that happen right here. And that's exactly what I want the TEP Center to be able to talk about. This is a building, I just think of it as a sacred place, because what all happened here, and to say that, we're back here in it. And I just want people to understand that it's here. We can have that conversation and come to the building. You can tour the building just the way we walked in, and see a film that'll show you what was going on during those days when we came to school. And I'm here for any questions that can be answered. But the building is here. We do a lot of workshops. We do a lot of meetings here. It's open to the communities if they want to come in and lease the space to use. And we also have 25 affordable apartments for 55 or older. And it's coming together. But my vision now is that since we don't hear about civil rights as it should be told in schools, that this can be a place that it can be told. So I reach out to the schools to always bring the kids here so they can learn that history.
And Dr. Tate, I've also I linked. I'm gonna link again, and I'll email back out the video. But also, you guys have done some books, different kinds of books over the years. Could you talk a little bit about the work you've done with some books over the years?
Well, we didn't write it. We had a writer. It was just released on November the 2nd. It's called Small Steps, Big Strides. It tells the whole story. Just the author was Vonda Nelson, and she did a extraordinary job on this book. And I tell anybody, if they read the book, they got the whole story. I wouldn't have to tell the story anymore. I really do believe that. But they are available. Well, we had to order some more, and I just did that today because we just held our 63rd anniversary, and we had a gala on last Friday night, and the books went like hotcakes. So they'll be here if anybody wanna just come by and see them. But the full story is there. But you can also reach out to us on our websites. It's tepcenter.org or LeonaTateFoundation.org.
Yeah, I linked all that in all the books. I want to
Mhm.
go back to some of the. I kind of wrote questions down as I was going, so they're going to be in the kind of the order that they were presented a little bit. But when you're originally, and if people have questions, please put them in the chat. I'll intermingle them within mine. You said that
Mhm.
there were 140
Mhm.
families that were originally chosen, right?
No, not chosen, that applied.
Not chosen. I mean, selected to be thought of, to be vetted, kind of thing.
Right, right.
What was, do you ever know what the reasoning why they only ended up with four, selecting five, but then it ended up being four? Why was it not more? You ever heard any reasoning why that was?
I knew the criteria was really high. There were no boys. No boys were selected at all. And the only one girl that would have been at France for Ruby wasn't wasn't chosen because, well, she was chosen, but I guess through talking about it, she didn't dare have a dad in the household, so
Right.
they didn't want to go through with that. So I don't know. I don't know why they waited 6 years to act upon the law, and I just feel like we were the ones to do it because the law was passed the year we were born, and
Yeah, that even puts even more how ridiculous it was that you had to wait. And speaking of the four of you ladies, what was the reasoning why Ruby Bridges went to a different school and then you guys were at the same school? And do you think that was a little, just a slight bit more comfort that there were three of you ladies together, and instead of Ruby who was just by herself? Just in knowing that you've known her forever as well. So,
well, schools were by districts. She lived in that district. You had to go
oh, okay.
to the school where you lived, and that's how we ended up at different schools. But the three of us were like glue. We were trained to stay together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were well trained. We knew if even to go to the restroom, we knew we didn't go alone. We had to go with each other.
Right.
Mhm.
You mentioned also your relationship with your first grade teacher.
Mhm.
What was your relationship afterwards with her? Did you have any relationship with her? I mean, because obviously she had a huge impact on you guys.
She really did, but we didn't. We really didn't, and I don't know why we never thought of that, but and we didn't really bring her up again until the 50th anniversary in 2010, but we found out she was deceased by that time. So, but I do reach out to her family, whoever they are, if they know of us, please contact us. I would love to talk to them.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me see what happened. Oh, two other questions. When you were talking, it's kept in my mind that what you guys did was to integrate, in this sense, the New Orleans public school system. Um, you know, my brain went to someone like Jackie Robinson, who integrated Major League Baseball. Did when you were, as you got older and older, did you meet people that, like, someone like a Jackie Robinson or somebody else that who did something similar to you of integrating a part of society, and had a bond with them because you did something that was you were the first of to do?
Mhm. I've met a lot of people. I'm not sure if they were on the same line of what we had done. I don't remember offhand if anybody was in any civil rights movements or anything like that. Um, but we were introduced a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah. And my last question was about the center. Could you, how many students do you guys did you see this year, and how much do you think you're going to see next year? And you know, is your goals to get every single kid to come into the building, at a
If it's
certain age?
possible, yes,
Yeah.
if it's possible, we would love to have every single kid. Um, we're somewhere in the thousands of how many students have come through here this year. And it's been a very good turnout, and they have been so into the conversation and the questions I get But it's the younger ones that are really more interested, and they like fire about it. They really, really, really want to know the story, and because they really think it was so long ago that it's nobody here to tell it, and they don't see me until after they take the tour and they see the film. And when after the film goes off, I'll walk in the room. So that's a shock to them just to see me come through the door. So, but they come in with one thought and they leave out with another one, and it's a very good feeling for me.
Ben asked, can you ask, let's see, when did you really grasp and understand the magnitude of the impact you were having on society and generations that would follow behind you? Was there ever a moment when it all clicked, or is it just something that kind of built over time?
It didn't click right away. I knew I began in third grade knowing that it was because of the color of my skin that I wasn't wanted. I didn't know the impact of it for a long time. And I really probably didn't try to find out because it was so overwhelming. I didn't even talk about it. The three of us would say the same thing. We didn't talk about it at all. And I think it may have been ninth grade for me. I had a gym teacher that called me in her office, and she said she was reading a book, and I was in the book, and that made me think. That really made me think that, hey, we had done something. And I don't think our families knew how big it was going to be. We didn't know that they didn't know that it was going to go nationwide until we got family members from another state saying, well, hey, they saw me on TV, and you had to know me to recognize me, because our names weren't given out, so it made a big impact.
So your parents, did they have any connection with, the civil rights movement in New Orleans at that time? Or was it just, they just did it?
Not at all. My family wasn't really involved in things like that. But when they had the opportunity to apply,
Mm-hmm.
they did. My mother didn't, really. My mother did. My dad was kind of reluctant because of where he worked. He worked in the area where a lot of the protesters came from. And so his identity was really held back for a long time. But my mother said she paid her taxes just like everybody else did. And she was steadfast.
And you mentioned that the schools were they were better schools. There were less students. I mean, you were to an extent getting a little bit more space to an extent of than being crowded at the school that you were at, right?
Right. It was the school that I came from was on a platoon session. Some students had to go in the morning and some had to go in the evening. So that's how many students they were overpopulated with. And I don't know. I just think that if the resources and the materials were there, they could have done something better, and we'd have been fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Dr. Tate, I want to thank you so much. You have shared such an amazing story. We've got some ideas that we need to kick around afterwards with the TEP Center, because we've got some great things that happened at the museum as well. So we'll keep in touch, and we really thank you for being here tonight. And we hope to see everybody on December 12th talking about Christmas traditions. It's already happening. Christmas is coming. So
it sure is.
Yeah. So I want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And Dr. Tate, thank you so much. We appreciate it tonight.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. All have a great night.
You too.